Thank you everyone for joining this panel on shaping the future of work. And we have an extremely good set of people who have joined us to talk about shaping the future of work. And in the audience, we have students from IIIT-Bangalore. We also have students from other engineering colleges, right? And this is probably our best opportunity to talk to some of them, understand, for example, how the hiring process works, and maybe what are some of the skills and skill sets that are important for being in a good position to secure a good job and a good career and so on. So we have the right people with the right experience here, right? And also we will talk about certain things which are probably on the top of your mind. Maybe this year, how is it going to be in terms of placement, work from office, work from home, technology in human resources, hiring, engineering, and so on. So let's talk about, things also which are of current interest, but maybe we'll go in the order of first maybe the hiring process, because it's sort of mysterious. So let's talk about how the hiring process works. Let's talk about the skills and then talk about the current trends and so on. And here we have an eminent set of people who have joined us. Mr. Prem Nair, who's the Senior Director HR from Toshiba. Hello, Prem. We have Kamal Stephen here, who's an early career talent leader from SAP. We have Mr. Rashid Ul Karim, Head of Talent Acquisition, PayU here. We have Mr. Muralidhar Narasimhamurthy, Engineering Leader, Arista Networks. We have Mr. Satish Tembath, who is the CTO of NextGen Edu. We have Mr. Sanjay Sanjeevan, who is a Senior BI and A consultant. So we have an eminent set of people here joining us. So I will let them introduce quickly, themselves. Maybe they can shed more light about their experience and work for a minute, and then we will get to some of the themes that we talked about. Over to you, Mr. Prem.
So good afternoon, all. Let me introduce myself. I am Prem. I take care of the HR function in Toshiba. I have been associated with Toshiba for past 20 years. That's my tenure with Toshiba. And I'm looking forward to interact with you, all of you. That's brief.
My name is Satish Tembath. I am the CTO of NextGen Edu. It's an education technology company. Prior to this, I have been in the industry for about 25 years now. Half of it is primarily in the corporate world and half of it is in the entrepreneurial journey. And I have played multiple roles, right from software development all the way to senior leadership roles. Okay, so that's my background.
Hi, I'm Sanjay. I'm a managing principal at Thorogood Associates. So we are a global specialist firm working primarily in the data analytics space. We work across multiple verticals like CPG, pharma, healthcare, etc. A little more on me. I started in 2008 and I've been with Thorogood since then. And over the years, I've picked up various responsibilities. More recently, I've picked up the role of chairperson of the India unit as such.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rashid. There's been a little over 22 years post in engineering and an MBA. Worked mostly in sales in initial part of career, and the last 15 years in talent acquisition. I lead the talent acquisition, which is a recruiting function at PayU, close to a year now, and looking forward to talking to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Murali Narasimhamurthy. Currently, I'm working as engineering leader at Arista Networks. So I have roughly more than 25 years of engineering experience in quite a various different forums like IoT, data center, cloud, networking, and then enterprise. And then I'm looking forward to talking about this interesting topic and also share my thoughts.
Hi all, good afternoon. My name is Kamal Stephen. I currently work with SAP Labs as the early career talent lead. I say early career, basically it's campus recruitments and internship, and also up to 1 to 3 years experience hiring. Prior to this, I was with the Cisco and Microsoft and Oracle. I come with about 20 plus years of work experience. And I would like to take this opportunity to kind of interact with you and share my learnings, and also probably answer your questions with reference to campus hiring and anything related to that. Yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So let's quickly jump on to our first part, which is demystifying the hiring process, right? As maybe I'm the faculty in charge of placements at IIIT, right? So as a faculty, as a student, we would like to understand, right? We would like to understand how maybe companies choose their colleges where to visit, right? And what are the things that they think about, right? Maybe when they hire people. So after you choose a college, how do you offer, right? Do you offer, and so on, right? And then maybe lateral versus campus hirings. So are there anything that goes on in their thought process and their decision-making process? We are very curious about it, right? So maybe I request Stephen, maybe Prem, Rashid, if you could shed some light on that. Your thoughts, maybe you would like to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Okay, there are two parts to it. One basically from the corporate side and one from the college or the institution, right? So to talk about the institution, first of all, from the student's perspective, right? So when you say placements, right, and most of you start thinking about placements only when you're in the final year or the final semester or pre-final semester, the 7th semester, because that's when you're in the hot seat preparing for campus. And again, it's basically like, which company to apply, what profile do I get in? All those things are like the last minute, 11th hour preparation. So basically like the way you prepare for your CET or any entrance for that matter, right? I mean, campus hiring is also something very important because that's going to decide your career, right? And so you need to kind of start preparing well in advance, even before you get into the 3rd year, right? Because that's when you start focusing on summer internship, etc., etc. So keeping that in mind, first of all, you need to understand, what kind of recruiters or companies come into your campus for hiring. So again, if you have to segment that into 3, you have your product companies. I hope you all know the difference between product, service, and the unicorns. So you need to first of all take that into consideration. First of all, what is your focus like, in terms of, looking at the past data, what are the companies that have been coming to your campuses for hiring? And from there, you need to pick and choose which company or which segment that you want to focus on. Whether you want to get into a product company, whether you want to get into a services company, as per your aspiration, right? And from there on, you need to do a little bit of diagnosis in the sense, for example, you want to get into a product company. Now, all of you want to get into obviously a Google or a Microsoft. So first of all, you need to know what technology these companies work on and whether that aligns to your career interest, right? Because many times, me as a HR guy, once the student or the candidate comes on board, there's a lot of disconnect between what they want to do and what they've been hired for, and that's when things don't match. Attrition happens, people are disinterested and leave the job, right? So you need to do that little bit of diagnosis before you kind of apply for campus or any company for that matter. And from there on, you need to look at what is that these companies want. For example, CGPA is one of the criterias, the branch that you're currently studying in, or extracurricular activities, because not just a 9-pointer or 10-pointer will get a job, not guaranteed, right? So you need to look at other aspects in terms of what can help you gain that expertise, and also from a technology perspective. When I said, like for example, during any campus hiring, the fundamentals what the companies check for is the aptitude, which is basically your online assessment, right? When I say aptitude, your problem-solving skills, your algorithms and data structures and so on. So you need to focus on that depending on the specialization that you come with. And then more importantly, these days, most of the students misses, apart from the technical know-hows, right, your interpersonal skills. More importantly, communication, right? Your attitude, right? Your negotiation skills, your business acumen. So these are the things that you need to really, really focus on. If you ask me as a HR, I would underline these things first. Technically, anyways, you're studying, you'll learn once you get onto the job. unless you have good communication. When I say good communication, not about talking, fluent English or with an accent, but communication means, whatever you speak, I should be able to understand, and you should be able to listen, right? And then obviously your attitude, because end of the day, that's what matters in any organizations you go, irrespective of Microsoft, Google, or irrespective of any other organization that you join. So these are the aspects that you need to look at it from a diagnosis point of view. And then comes in terms of how do you prepare for the interviews, right? Again, from a technical perspective, from the other aspects like interviewing skills, etc., which can be taught, and definitely your colleges or the placement officer will enable that for you to kind of do better at your work, right? So from my perspective, I've been delivering sessions in a couple of colleges. In fact, last week I was with IIT Mandi, and my always take away or give away for the students is the 3 R's that I will talk about. The 3 R's, first R stands for relevant. That means you have to be basically relevant to the current industry and to the current, market, right? If you're not, then you become irrelevant. 2, resilience. There'll be ups and downs. You may not probably get into a Google, maybe you'll get into a Microsoft, right? But there's always a scope for something better or something beyond, right? So you have to be ready to kind of fall down, get up and run. Not everyone will be successful in the first step itself, right? So you have to be resilient. And the third one is how you are ready to run the race. So before you run the race, you have to be prepared, right? So how much of effort and time that you take to kind of be ready to run the job, run the race. So that is what is important. So the 3 R's that I really emphasize on from a student perspective, which I think is very relevant or important in the current generation.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oti.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, yeah.
Thank you. No, I think that's a good start. So a couple of things, if I could really add to it. So let's look at the kitchen before we start the campus. It means what happened at the organizational level when we reach as a one. Then second is your preparation for the campus. And the third is your next step in terms of joining the organization. So what happens in the organization is the talent demand is directly linked with the way where industry and the organization is. So let's say I'm representing PayU. PayU has a certain plan, and our talent demand is linked to our growth. So as students, you need to understand that every organization who had come to a campus is not just for recruiting, but with recruiting, they need to try and solve some of the business problems, right? And you have a brightest mind and some of the top talent who can join the journey of solving that problem for the company. Every company exists for a certain problem to solve, which is what the vision about. So that happens in terms of our demand, and that's where we create our own saying, hey, we need to go to these campuses, we need to recruit these other type of talent, and we need to solve some of our needs for our customers and the end users. So that's a stage one. Now, all of you are some of the top bright minds. Every organization would look at saying, hey, how do I filter the top organization, tiering, IIIT, IITs, RSCs and all. So there's a clear supply of talent and all. In your preparation, other than what he shared about, I don't want to repeat those, but I think one addition you could think is, when there are 10 different organizations coming to campus, do I need to sit for all 10? Or do I need to choose the company which I really believe that I can add value? Because of my interest, because of my industry understanding, little bit of a research you need to do. The research is very essential. Yes. It is not that just come and sit for a placement and see, hey, this company is great campus, great values, good compensation. Yes, all of us choose the job on that, but do a research so that that is well prepared for you. And the third phase, so that is an entry into the organization. And the third very critical part, I would say, and I'm sure we'll touch as we move forward, is it's not easy to transition from campus to corporate. And I think let's understand that there is an expectations at the corporate level from the students, whether you are from tier 2, tier 1, top college, maybe great CGPA, maybe a gold medalist, all that matters till your selection. But your transition into the corporate to work for those business problems, that makes your career differentiated in the organization, and we'll talk through. So you really need to come with that mindset saying, hey, I really am stepping in, like the way we said, we passed out 10th, the college life is very different. Then you cleared the 12th and you entered into engineering or integrated course, it's very different. Now you're going to step in completely different from a campus to corporate, and I think that transition will define how best and how high you can do well with your corporates. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashid.
Thank you. Both of them have covered very nicely. So I wanted to add on to those 2 points. Is basically you have to be very clear on where you wanted to go. Okay, so the plan, and you will have to make sure that you have put across a plan in advance, so that which companies you are targeting, as he was mentioning. And the companies also has their own plan already laid in, which are the colleges they are going. Based on they will have a tier system wherein they would have decided that, okay, we will have hire these many number of students from this tier colleges, and there will be some categorization based on the priorities of the organization and the job role what they are looking at. So that would have already been identified. So now it's your preparedness towards the company is very, very important. So as you are telling recently, what we could see when we go to the campus, they don't know about the company, just they go and sit in all the campus. So that may not be a right approach. It should be like, okay, you should go through the JD, understand what you are going to work in case if you get selected. So that's very, very important. Now, one more topic which we didn't discuss here is on the screening. Okay, when an HR looks at on the screening of the profile, the starting is the profile writing itself. Nowadays, everyone will write ML, AL, AI. That's common in any of the resume. So is that required by all the companies? You have to think. No, we are all not working in AI and ML. So you have to showcase what is your strength. That's what you should put it in the resume. Let's come on the which you call online test. The test, normally nowadays all the companies do the pre-screening as the test. So you'll have to always think it in mind that the test is not a selecting criteria. It is only an elimination. It is used to eliminate few of them and bring few students to the stage wherein we can do the proper interview. So you'll have to always think that you have to get into that. So for that you need to prepare. So these are 2 points I just wanted to add.
Thank you. So maybe we'll also talk about a little bit of assessments, and from a technical manager point of view, what are important things that you look for? Maybe Satish, if you would like to go for, and then we'll also go to Murali and Sanjay. Yeah.
Okay, typically in the assessment, right, as he rightly pointed, we have the tests, okay. Most of the companies, if you look at it, all starts with a written test. It could be pen, paper, or it could be this one. If you carefully look at the written test or the question paper, okay, it starts right from fundamentals and goes into some complex questions that are there. In most of whenever I have done the recruiting, I have kind of given options. Okay, for example, you can choose a particular programming language, whatever you are good at. Okay, we will give you that test, and then there will be aptitude. And most of these questions, it's very similar to what most of you have done JEE or any of them, right? Majority of those questions are trick questions. Okay, the idea is to find out who stands out from who doesn't stand out. Okay, it's all about how well you know that subject versus whether you just know it superficially. That's what we look for. And good for you, we don't look for 99 or 98% cutoff in most of these cases. And we do look at your academics, okay? So it's a combination of your academics and the consistency in your academics, Okay, for example, many students will think that, okay, oh, final year I will score 80+% and it's okay, first 2 years and all. So typically we look for certain consistency in this. This is what will get you into the interview round, okay? And most of the cases wherever I have done the hiring, minimum is 2 rounds of interviews, and sometimes we have gone for 3, 4 rounds of interview. And I'm talking only about the technical assessment. And most of the cases in first technical round, it's all about your basics, the programming skills, or if you're a hardware engineer, it's about your understanding of the circuit design and things like that. That's what gets tested. The second round, we try to go into deeper about your project work, okay? How well you know the project that you have executed, okay? It could be your academic project, it could be a 2-month, 3-month, 6-month project, whatever be the case. How well you know, and are you able to articulate the problem that you are trying to solve? I think that was one of the points that my HR colleagues talked about. Can you identify or articulate what is the problem you are trying to solve? How did you go about solving it, and why did you choose certain things, okay, to solve that problem? Why not something else, okay? So that is what typically gets checked about your problem solving skills and articulation skills. And one thing that I would like to advise everybody over here, as Prem pointed out, don't try to put something because it's fancy on your profile, okay? And some students or some candidates think that they can justify it, but just keep in mind the other side of the people, they have enough experience and they can read through it, okay? What you haven't written is easily known to them, okay? So it is better be authentic. When you say, I know AI, you should be able to justify. If you don't know, it's okay. Just say, I don't know, but I have the learnability, and you prove it, that you can learn something, okay? And one of the things that invariably I look for people is how adaptable you are and how good you are at learning new things. People simply write saying, oh, I'm passionate about technology, but can you tell me what have you learned in the last 1 week to prove that you are passionate about something? Okay, so these kind of questions get asked, and these are the ones that typically get us the person who knows really what he or she is talking about versus people who simply write these jargons, okay? And that's typically the assessment. Only thing is be authentic, no need to fudge, okay? Fudging cannot take you far, and most of the seasoned people over here will read it. The moment we get the profile, many times your profiles get rejected from a technical team if we believe that a person cannot learn all these things within the time period that is available to them, okay? So that is something that I would like you guys to keep in mind.
Thank you, thank you. Only you would like to.
Yeah, so he covered most of the thing. So let me run through like a typical interview process, what I do generally. Like, first of all, one thing that I am looking at, candidates who come to the interview is their preparedness, right? And this preparedness is not about yesterday night till 3 o'clock what you read, right? It is about the entire course material, all the things what you have studied. And then we as interviewers, we know how to break you to until you say, no, I don't know. And that does not mean that we are here to, take a sadistic feeling of making sure that you don't know. It's about the attitude you show to solving a problem, right? Which means I keep pushing people until you say no, right? That's only to assess how do you, in life generally what happens is like there are bunch of things that you have already done. It's like a table lookup for you, right? And then you will solve it. The moment I ask, okay, solve this problem, if you have already solved in that problem, I can make that out like, you had already solved it in your last month or somewhere, right? When I give you a problem where you don't know, and then if you can actually come up with an attitude saying that, hey, I'm here to solve. I have never solved this in my life, but then these are my basic fundamentals which are very, very strong. And if you can demonstrate that, both in terms of solving problems as well as your articulation skills, right? As a third-party interviewer sitting right in front of you, I have no clue whether you know the concept and you are not able to tell it, or you don't even know that, right? So articulate the concepts extremely well. It's quite crucial, because many a times, even if you can't solve the problem, if the interviewer is convinced that the right attitude is there and the right basic fundamentals are there, you're most likely to get hired, right? So essentially, to summarize, make it consistent, as he said, rightly pointed out, right? Like, all the semesters pay the same level of attention, and then build on top of each semester's learning, and then also have a good amount of network where you can exchange your thoughts, like your friend circle, your peers, your seniors, right? Talk to them, and then get an understanding of what the companies are looking for, and then make relevant, right? And also finally the thing is your soft skills, which is mostly the articulation skills during the interview. That will come very, very handy. And then one fundamental thing that don't go by it may be tempting, I will always choose the offer which is like a max of A, B, C kind of thing. Please do not do that if it does not suit your passion and interest, because we all are here for a marathon, not for a 100-meter dash, right? Which means, look, every day that you spend coding, learning, testing, or researching, right, it has to add up to whatever your passion is. Whether you want to be a CEO, CTO, or a leadership role, or a unicorn company or entrepreneur, whatever be it, right? Like, you have an aspiration, right? You all are studying for that, right? Make your moves in that direction, right? Not just because a company offered better than a company that I was really interested in, so those are some of the decisions that are counterintuitive, but then take that, I'm sure you will succeed.
Thank you. Sanjay.
Right. I'll answer from a Thorogood's perspective, and I think it may resonate with some of the points that have already been shared here. So we are at the heart, we are a technology firm, yeah. We use technology to solve business problems. But then if you look at the technologies that are used in data science, over the last few years, a lot of changes happened. So technologies that were in play 5 years ago may not be relevant as much today. Yeah. So what we look for is the adaptability, like your aptitude to learn. So most of our assessment, if I take a typical interview that Thorogood does, we focus primarily on evidences where you have demonstrated that you are able to pick up a new task. You are able to learn beyond that. If faced with a problem, you are following a process on how to overcome that problem as such, and what kind of analytical ability that you're bringing into this. So these are the basic competencies that we focus on, rather than how much of background that you have on a particular technology. Because if you have the analytical ability, if you have the aptitude, it is very easy for us to put you through a training program once you join us, so that we can skill you up on the specific technologies that you work on. So that is why we have had lots of good success when we go to, let's say, civil department or mechanical engineering students, because even though they may not have worked on the specific technologies that we focus on, there have been instances in their projects wherein they have been able to demonstrate these key competencies that we look for, and that is what we are able to inculcate here as well. Yeah.
Thank you. So I think we had a good set of discussions around the hiring process as well as skills. I think there was a lot of discussion on the skills aspects as well, both hard skills as well as soft skills, and I think we also got some light in terms of assessments, what people look for in terms of, say, the skills and the attitude and so on. So that's also interesting. So we probably have covered on the process and skills side. Maybe we could also start to think in terms of things which are current in nature. Maybe we can take questions as we go along as well, but maybe a free-for-all conversation on how the current market situation is, maybe how should students position themselves for it, maybe if somebody has some thoughts and ideas on the current trends and situation, maybe that would be interesting. Yeah.
I think this is, in fact, the first part was more about telling you how to prepare, but if you really see, the conditions is very, very different, and I think that's the reality, because I think you would be thinking that all of us would be offering you jobs as an employer. The answer is yes, but I think not in the today's forum, but there's a clear campus plan. But couple of things I would say, even if you're a brightest talent and a top talent, which is what, let's say, an institute like IIIT-B or some of the engineering colleges you have been here, the first and foremost, you need to understand the current situation of a shift in demand and supply. And I think just keep in mind that demand and supply means organization needs 100 top talent, as an example, and there are some 1,000 students who are in the top talent. That's called demand and supply in a simple form. Now, if 10 organization has to choose the 100 best, and there are 1,000 who really in the top 20%, you can understand that in the previous years, it is easy for you to get the job because there is a demand of 1,000 and there's a supply of 1,000. So today's years or this year or maybe next year or so, maybe a year or two, this equation is little different, which means within those 1,000, you need to aspire to be in the top 10%. Because demand is squeezing. There is a demand. I am hiring, all of my colleagues are hiring, and you see entire industry is hiring, but the demand has been little reduced because of the market sentiments, which means how well you prepare yourself to be in the top strata of the top. Right? A top 20, middle 60, bottom, you keep doing that. But in the top 20, the top talent would be the one who will get the choice, one. Second, I think you need to reset your mindset. The resetting is not saying that, hey, if I'm the top means I'll walk into the company and sail through. No. The expectations from the talent has also changed, not just at the selection, but you're trying to solve the problems for the company. The impact you will make out of the job has changed. So that's the second part. And the third, very clearly you see, organizations, I would say the tolerance, if I can use, the period at which you transition from campus to the corporate, the faster you deliver the job, the chances of you being successful is high. There were years where organizations used to say, they, oh, fresh out of campus, work for 3 months, 6 months, learn. I think the scope of learning is ended at college now. The clear expectation is that you are plug and play, while there will be an element of learning, on-the-job learning, but you're on the critical project or task, which means that there is no learning license and the final driving license. Your learning license is finished at the campus. You are going to be in a seat to solve the problem. There are mentors who can help you, guide you, but not like that, hey, I can make another learning license type of options for 3 months, 6 months. Anyway, I'm fresher out of college. No. I think that you need to keep in mind that there is a learning curve has been shortened. Your resetting of mind, seeing what is expected, and the first one which I said is about very clearly the demand supply. So your job is more tough. You need to raise your bar to be fighting with the brightest mind. You're not going to fight with an average mind. That's, I think, is a very simple one.
Competitiveness and ready to go, right? That's what we look for. Any other thoughts? Anybody?
Yeah, I can probably add up. I mean, as rightly put by Rashid. So basically, in today's world, right, things have evolved. So basically, companies also want plug and play, right? I mean, no one has the time to kind of invest in, training and so on, right? Keeping that from the employer side, from the candidate side, what do they want? One, a lucrative job. Two, obviously, to kind of secure in the job and move on in their career, right? But keeping that aside, I mean, what typically happens, for example, this current situation, scenario, right? We had the great resignation wave. Now it's more of a reflection period. Probably this year or next year it's going to be like that. And then comes the reshuffling. Okay, again the 3 R's, my favorite R's: resignation, refocusing, and then reshuffling, right? So you have to be prepared for all these things when you're in a corporate, right? Ups and downs. So how well are you prepared for that also matters a lot, right? And definitely, from an student perspective, right? You can't really depend on one aspect, that is your campus recruitment alone, right? Or off campus, saying that, okay, I'll graduate, then I'll go find for another job. But how well are you prepared while you're studying will also give you an opportunity to get into an organization. For example, participate in hackathons, IIT-ins, community forums like your IIEEE or whatever forums, right? Through that also you can be highlighted, because imagine in your class, let's say 70 or 80 students, how will one person stand out? And to stand out, obviously you need to be doing little more than what others are doing. That's similar applicable to us also in a corporate world. For example, if I'm just doing my day job, I'm just meeting my expectation, right? I'm expected to do my day job along with something else like projects, etc. That's when I'll be able to go and tell my manager that I've done something beyond, and that is what is going to give me a certain little more reward, right? Or a promotion, progression, whatever it is. So from a student perspective also same thing applies. If you're just good in your academics, focusing on studies, it will not fetch you beyond a certain level, but you need to develop other skills as well, right? So that is what is going to give you success in the long run. And these days, that's what companies also look for.
Definitely. So you should have a differentiator in some sense. Sanjay, you want to add?
I just want to add one point to what has already been mentioned here. So Rashid was talking about how you have demand versus supply as such, right? So one clear point there. If I take an IT job, right, like you can split into different domains. So, for example, you have a programming domain, you have a data science domain as such. Now, the preparation for each of these domains is kind of different. So, rather than if I take my case, when I first joined, attended interviews back in 2008. We just used to sit for every interview, every company that used to come, because as a student, right, we might have basic understanding of all the different domains as such. So we are not prepared and said okay, this is the domain that I'm going to focus on, yeah. So we were just going to sit in each one of them. Now in this time, right, because you have the problems with demand versus supply, it might be useful for you to start thinking about now itself, okay, what is the domain that you want to focus on, and then start preparing towards that. I think this reflects on the point that you were saying as such. Like if there is an opportunity for you to exercise your skills in a particular domain by taking part in say contests or hackathons or something like that, just go ahead and do that. If you want to do some mini projects, for example, it will be useful. It will showcase to the company that is interviewing you that you have that urge, you have that the passion to work towards that particular domain as such, yeah, and that is going to be a plus for you.
Yes.
So I want to add one more thing here is, okay, now the way the company is recruiting also is changing. So we could see that earlier we go to the campus, we take only the students and go back to the next year, we give a 3 months training, etc. Now the situation has totally changed. Now what we are looking at also is like what he was telling, we want something which is trained resource. So what we are also trying at is looking at internship. So wherever you are getting an opportunity to do an internship, you have to grab it.
Yes.
That is where you will be ready for the industry. Even if it's a 1-month project, you have to grab it. Now internship, you need not have to go to a university and do, or a company to do. You can get internships outside, even the online internships, many are available. So you will have to ensure that you should be industry ready before you attend the interview. So that will enable you. So that's a new trend which is coming in. So I have seen that, okay, in the past 3 years, we are giving all the recruits whom we are recruiting as campus, we are even extending the internship. So as soon as they are back into the company as an employee, they are ready to go.
Yes.
That is the change which we...
So when I was hearing to these things, right, like one thought that came to my mind was there are two types of trends that generally keeps going. One is the bread and butter, which is like, conventional and sustainable technologies, right? And that's something that, that's not going to die, because like, that's the fundamental under which, all the other applications and the new intelligences are being built. Second thing is the modern trends, and which is very, very dynamic, because like what is some technology today is irrelevant in next 3 years or 5 years or 1 year sometimes. So make sure that you have a focus on both the aspects, not generally joining the bandwagon. Everybody AI ML, okay, I will also do that, right? My personal experience is like, the sustainable ones are going to stay longer, and then if you stay invested there, learn, and then have the ability to innovate in those areas, right? That is going to pay off in the long run, and you will be one of the trendsetters soon. Right? So, I mean, I keep telling, young engineers, there are a lot of these libraries, like if anybody, all of you are Python users, I guess, right? There are a lot of libraries. As a leader, I will never look at how many libraries you are aware of. I don't care, okay? What I am always looking at is, can you write another library for me? Right? Essentially, like, these are the fundamentals. Like, you are here to solve a problem. As an engineer or a researcher, right, you are here to solve a problem, right? And it will come in different scale, shape, and forms, right? Your basics are always going to help you here. And then stay focused and don't blame your fate. Oh, this batch I messed up. It's not the case. I mean, everybody who is talented enough and is on the top of the game and stay invested, have the hungry for learning, you will always succeed.
I just want to add one point to what Murli was talking about, and I think Rashid talked about demand, supply, and refocusing. Let's understand why that is happening. Okay, the rate of change in the job market, or what we call world of work, is so high. It's almost 10 times compared to what it used to be before, right? Earlier, the jobs would change, or the nature of job would change, maybe in a generation. Okay, typewriters continued for, I don't know, okay, since my grandfather to my father, everybody was using typewriter, right? But then it took some time for typewriter to be replaced by a keyboard, okay? And how long did it take to replace keyboard with touchpad or no pad, okay? For example, today, most of you are already using dictation, right? The keyboard usage is going down.
Technology acceleration.
So the technology is going to make this change of, or the rate of change faster. Yes. Whatever we know today is very unlikely to be there after 5 years or 10 years. As Murli pointed out, some of the jobs are very fundamental and they will remain forever. Okay, it's not going to change. The rate of change is low. But in majority of the jobs, the disruption is happening faster than what we can even comprehend. Yeah. And in these kind of scenario, only thing that will help you is constantly learning.
Constant learning. Yes.
Okay, it's a constant learning is what is needed, because I also see many of the students whom we recruit, right? When they come to the industry, they think that it's done. It's not done. That's when it starts.
Yes.
Okay, so that's something that you want.
So in the interest of time, thank you. I think we have a lot to say, lots of interesting topics, but we'll just give chance to people to ask few questions, maybe a couple of questions at least.
Yeah, so I have a question here. So first of all, thanks for the wonderful panel discussion. It was great hearing all the thoughts from the leaders. And my question is regarding the recent tech layoffs. So, usually companies have a fair projection or estimates of how many people they would need going forward, and no one likes to lay off people. It reflects based on the brand of the company as well. So, where do you think, the companies got the projections wrong? Was it the post-pandemic boom or the bubble, or was it something else? Why there have been so many companies doing the layoffs? Thank you.
I'll add a few points, and then I'm sure all of you have a say in this. It may be a very strong word to say they went wrong. Okay. See, like nobody knows the future, right? So typically, based on my understanding of the future, it could be 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, right? We tend to make several investments as leaders, right? So some of them will click, some of them will not, right? And I'm sure it is the same thing. It could be your personal business, it could be a business as well. That means sometimes, I mean, it's always a sine wave, right? Like, it's a high wave and there is a trough wave, right? So during, a good time, I tend to go over aggressive, invest in certain ambitious projects, and in some cases there may not be some demand, and we will have to cut those projects, right? At the same time, most of the companies are very people-centric, right? Like, they know the troubles of laying off people, right? And then they try to refactor in all the things. And when, some of them have to be let go, and it could be bottom performers as well, right? So all of them, so it's not that, somebody intentionally say that I want to make sure that I lay you off, right? It's the ambitiousness, and the 3 years back, we were all very happy, and then nobody expected a COVID, right? These are some parameters which are not in your control, and when it happens, some tough calls have to be made, but then it's only to rebounce back and then, create more opportunities.
Yes, thank you. So one more question, maybe?
Hello, sir. Jailam. I want to ask that, say I have passed 3 or 4 rounds of the interviews, but I'm stuck at the last interview where there's a general discussion, and they might be, focusing on my communication skills about maybe that's a different accent, maybe a US accent, and I'm an Indian. So how to crack that, or how to convince the interviewer that, okay, I'll pick it up?
I'll respond. I think first and foremost, that's not a problem, and don't try to convince what you said, because if you have reached the 4th stage, then you are the best. Have confidence, and all of us will have. But let me tell you, I think in a communication, soft skill has been discussed around. Replicating US accent is not the need of organization. Don't worry. It is not a skill. Don't worry. When we say communication, it means whether you are able to articulate the problem. That's all. So we being this part of the world, and I working with most multinationals, I have never tried to replicate US or Europe accent. Just being an Indian doesn't mean that we need to replicate. We need to communicate. So there's a difference between, and as long as you're able to communicate, it's needed, one. Second, most engineering talent, I don't think they are for a front-end sales or advisory roles. So let's understand it's a role-based. Now in your role, if you're trying to solve with your technical capabilities, this skill is actually in the 5th of the must-haves. But there are other 4s which are critical. If you are in a sales, advisory, front face, then probably the communication will come on top. So nothing to worry. I think where we all are, our communication skills are well accepted across the world. Feel good about it and be happy about it.
Yes.
Sir, one more question I have.
Quickly.
Yes. Say I have gone up to 4th stage, 4th interview round, but suddenly I have been dropped by the company. But how will I know that for which thing I have been dropped?
Feedback, is it?
Yeah, feedback.
Quickly, one thing, you need to go back to those companies and ask for some information. Okay, this is one thing that I have seen most of the candidates don't do. Okay, the way we have invested our time in talking to you, you also have invested your time in talking to us. Okay? So you should ask for feedback or some suggestions in terms of how to improve. But do it politely, okay? Because some people ask it in a very threatening way. What was wrong with me and those kind of things, okay? So as long as you ask in a nice way, in a professional way, most of the
Yes.
I'll just answer one more point to this. So, I mean, generally I have some strong opinions on the words what we use. It's not a rejection, okay? It's like, you know, you are watching a Wimbledon, right? There is a finals match. There is a, winner and a runner, correct, right? So, runner is not bad, right? So, at the same time, in the same paradigm, right, a company might have, let's say, one role. Let's take an example, right? Like there is one role and two people cleared all the rounds, and then for some reason, like, 1% better, the other person got selected. You were not rejected, the other person got selected. There is a subtle difference there, and that's the thing, it happens. And if you ask for it, like as he was saying, right, they will say that, hey, you are good. And in many cases, they will have it in their database. I can guarantee my HR, folks, right, they will tell that, they will have it. The next opportunity, I myself have called somebody saying that, hey, you know what, I have it, like you had come all the way till that round, are you still interested? Okay, that will happen. So it's not a rejection, it's the selection of on that day, that's all.
Yes.
Yep. I would just add to say, don't give up. There's something better waiting for you.
Will come, yes. So that's a good note to end our discussion. And thanks for all the panelists. They were very, in terms of insightfulness, very insightful, all the comments. And I think we got a lot of insights in terms of how to choose a company, right? Even from the way we choose our company, and given, say, the current situation, right? How do you position yourself? Because it's going to be a day of competition, right? It's going to be pretty competitive. So in terms of how you position, maybe how you attend hackathons or do projects, and also know things very deeply, right? I think that is something that came out very important, right? People don't want to see you calling APIs and stuff, but how do you write your code? How do you know things in a deeper manner? And I'm sure people who do well in the curriculum in terms of their studies and stuff, automatically they'll have their basics also pretty strong, which also seems very important. I think we got a good flavor of what to expect and maybe how to prepare ourselves for the jobs ahead and so on. And I really thank all the panelists for being very kind and generous to spend some time with us on a Saturday. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.